welcome to the news broadcast daily, and following are today's highlights.
Seoul Summit adopts measures to ensure nuclear security and safety. Minister TRUYnh meets international politicians. Vietnam News Agency and Kyodo News of Japan cement cooperation. First hearing opens for former executives of insolvent shipbuilder VNA.
The two-day 2012 Nuclear Security Summit began late on March 26 in Seoul, the Republic of Korea. This important political event saw the presence of the heads of state of 53 countries and leaders of 4 international institutions. Prime Minister TRUYnh attended the event.
Complicated developments related to nuclear security and safety in the world, and especially the nuclear crisis in Fukushima, Japan, have made the world public increasingly concerned about nuclear security and safety, and even the reconsideration of nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. Giving an opening remark at the session, President of the host country, Lee Myung-bak, said it is the obligation of world leaders to maintain peace and security for all mankind. Therefore, they must carry out all means to prevent terrorists from obtaining nuclear materials. Leaders and representatives discussed responses to nuclear terrorism, protection of nuclear materials and facilities, as well as prevention of illegal trafficking of nuclear materials. Prime Minister TRUYnh delivered a speech to the summit, emphasising the country's consistent viewpoint of using nuclear energy only for peaceful purposes and ensuring safety and security in doing so. He said the country has resolved to develop a nuclear power program to meet demand for national energy security. He appreciated the International Atomic Energy Agency and other countries such as Russia, Japan, the United States, France and the Republic of Korea for their cooperation and support for Vietnam to carry out the first steps of the program. He told participants that Vietnam has been building a legal framework and safe and secure infrastructure for nuclear power application and taking part in related international treaties and initiatives to effectively implement its commitments, especially after the first Nuclear Security Summit. At the end of the summit, leaders adopted the Seoul Communiqué, affirming that orientations and overall measures stated in the document are political commitments that will be carried out on a voluntary basis according to each country's capacity. The communiqué covers a series of measures to ensure nuclear security and safety in the world. The third Nuclear Security Summit will be held in the Netherlands in 2014.
Prime Minister TRUYnh held bilateral meetings with international politicians on the margin of the second Nuclear Security Summit in Seoul, the Republic of Korea, on March 26th and 27th. We find out more.
In a meeting with New Zealand counterpart John Key, Prime Minister Dung proposed the early signing of an agreement on double taxation avoidance and a cooperative accord on education and training for a new phase. He suggested the effective deployment of the newly inked agreement on working holiday. Prime Minister John Key said he hopes the two countries would increase visits of defense delegations and forge cooperation in logistics and defense industry. In a meeting with French Prime Minister François Fillon, Prime Minister Dung noted the multifaceted cooperation between Vietnam and France has been growing well towards a strategic partnership. The two government leaders agreed to exchange more high-ranking delegations in the next 2 years and enhance economic cooperation, particularly in energy, aeronautics, transport infrastructure, education and training. Prime Minister Dung also met with Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg of the UK. He praised the UK role in promoting nuclear security and safety and its initiatives to this summit and suggested that both countries should increase dialogues and cooperation and exchange information on issues of mutual concerns. The UK Deputy Prime Minister spoke of the need for the two countries to work together to boost two-way trade value to $4 billion by 2013. The government chief also met with Dutch Foreign Minister Yuri Rosenthal, who confirmed his government's commitment to supporting Vietnam's capacity building in international laws, especially marine laws. He plans to see the Prime Ministers of Pakistan, the Netherlands, and Australia, the President of the European Council, and the Finnish President.
General Director of the Vietnam News Agency, VNA, Nguyễn Đức Lợi, and President of Japan's Kyoto News Agency, Satoshi Ishikawa, agreed to beef up bilateral cooperation at their talks in Tokyo on March 26th. The VNA chief began his 6-day visit to Japan on March 25th.
The two news agencies will increase the exchange of photo and multimedia news and work together in training human resources. Kyoto News will provide Japanese language training to VNA reporters and vice versa. They also agreed to study the possibility for organizing field trips for their reporters to cover specific subjects and important events in the other country, and assisting each other in expanding information market in respective countries. On the same day, the VNA chief was received by Japanese Minister of Economy, Trade and Industry, Yukio Edano, and members of the Japanese House of Councillors, Yoshito Sengoku. During the visit, VNA General Director Lợi is scheduled to hold working sessions with leaders of Hiroshima and Kyoto cities and major dailies in these localities.
The first hearing for former chairman and general director of Vietnam's insolvent shipbuilder VNA, Phạm Thanh Bình, and 8 other officials opened in the northern port city of Hải Phòng on March 27th to account for their alleged business misconduct.
All 9 offenders have been indicted for internationally violating state regulations on economic management, causing serious consequences. According to the indictment, Bình and his accomplices disregarded state laws and regulations on investment, management, and use of state capital in the purchase of Hoa Sen ship, investment in construction of the Sông Hồng thermal power plant in Nam Định province, and the Khai Lan diesel thermal power plant in Quảng Ninh province, sale of a ship named Bạch Đằng Giang, and the Bình Định Starship project. The 9 are alleged to have caused a total loss of more than 910 billion Vietnamese dong, $73.3 million to the state budget. The trial is expected to last until March 30th. VNA was established in 1996 to develop the country's shipbuilding industry, but developed financial problems in 2009. The government later introduced reforms to get the embattled shipbuilder back on track.
Nearly 300 domestic and foreign professors and doctors are participating in the International Conference on Emergency Medicine opened in the central province of Thừa Thiên Huế on March 26th. They discuss issues regarding human resources and pre-hospital and hospital-based emergency treatment models.
With 4 seminars, the conference offered a chance for managers, doctors, nurses and students in this field to improve their professional skills. In Vietnam, only 2% of patients receive first aid in ambulances, compared to 80% in Europe. Pre-hospital emergency services remain limited, and the staff of medical emergency services do not receive intensive training in the field. Hue University of Medicine and Pharmaceuticals will open a new department for general emergency training. It will publish the Vietnamese version of the textbook of adult emergency medicine by Professor Peter Cameron, President of the International Federation for Emergency Medicine. The 5-day conference was co-organised by Hue University of Medicine and Pharmaceuticals, Hue Central Hospital, Good Samaritan Medical, and the US Dental Ministry Organisation.
Vietnam has signed contracts to export 3.2 million tons of rice this year, mostly to the Philippines, Indonesia, China, and Malaysia.
Under the contracts, Vietnam will export 650,000 tons of rice to Malaysia by December this year. Indonesia also has a great demand for rice imports. Vietnam has so far this year exported more than 800,000 tons of rice of all kinds. Earning over $553 million, the country is expected to ship abroad 1 and 1.1 million tons of rice during the first quarter. 7 days after launching the campaign to encourage businesses to buy rice for reserves, 89 members of the Vietnam Food Association have purchased 205,000 tons of rice, fulfilling over 20% of the set target.
And that's come to the end of our news today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.